Maccabi Tel Aviv B.C. For sponsorship reasons, Maccabi Fox Tel Aviv is a professional basketball club based in Tel Aviv, Israel. The team plays in the Israeli Premier League and internationally in the Euro League. The club started in the mid-1930s as part of the Maccabi Tel Aviv Sports Club, which had been founded in 1906, with 6 European championships, 1 Adriatic Championship, 51 Israeli Championships, 43 Israeli Cups, and 6 League Cups. Maccabi has been the most successful basketball team in Israel. It is also one of the most successful basketball teams of all time. Its players such as Tal Brody, Miki Berkovich, Jim Boatwright, Kevin McGee, Earl Williamson, Alcy Perry, and more recently Derek Sharp, Sarunas Jasikevičius, Anthony Parker and Nikola Vujic have been among the elite of Europe's basketball players. History. The Israeli Basketball Super League started in 1954, and Maccabi Tel Aviv was the first champion. It has dominated the championship ever since, winning the title 50 times, including a run of 23 titles in a row between 1970 and 1992. The team has also won the Israeli Basketball State Cup 41 times. Maccabi is considered Israel's national sporting representative in the world. From 1969 until 2008, Maccabi Tel Aviv was sponsored by Elite, Israel's largest food company, and carried its name. Since July 2008, Maccabi has had a new sponsor, Electra. Yad Eliyahu. Since 1963, the club's home court has been the Yad Eliyahu Arena in Tel Aviv. Originally an open-air court for 5,000 spectators, it is now a modern arena with a capacity of 11,000. Most Maccabi head coaches have been former players of the club. Yehoshua Rosen was involved with the club for 40 years. Ralph Klein started as an 18-year-old player and later had several spells as a coach, and led the club to its first European title in 1977. Zvi Shef played for Maccabi's second team, and coached the team for 3 spells. Penny Gershon played in the youth section, and as a coach led Maccabi to 3 European titles, in 2001, 2004, and 2005. Maccabi Tel Aviv has always provided the national team with a large number of players. 5 Maccabi players, headed by Avraham Schnur, were on the team that represented Israel in its first European Championship, in 1953 in Moscow. Tanim Cohen-Mintz was one of Europe's top centers in the 60s, and was selected for the first European All-Star team which played in Madrid in 1964. Miki Berkowitz, Motiero St. Lou Silva, and Eric Minkin played a major part in winning the silver medal in the European Championship in 1979 in Torino. Doron Jamchi played 16 years for the national team, and holds the record for appearances and points scored. Maccabi Tel Aviv was the first Israeli club to enter the European Cup for Champions in 1958. Since then, it has played over 600 games in European competitions, and was the only Israeli club to play in a final and to win the Champions Cup on 6 occasions. Maccabi has played in 15 Champions Cup finals. In 1994 and 2004, Maccabi organized the European Final Four in Tel Aviv. The first basketball game between an NBA and an FIBA team was held in 1978 in Tel Aviv. Maccabi Tel Aviv beat the defending NBA champion Washington Bullets, 98-97. Maccabi has played a record 18 times versus NBA teams, and became the first European team to win on an NBA floor when it beat Toronto, 105-103, in 2005. It also beat the Suns and Nets in 1984, to win a tournament in Tel Aviv. Through the decades, 1950s 5 Israeli Championships, 3 Israeli Cups. Early success in the Israeli League. Rivalry with Hapoel Tel Aviv begins. 1960s 6 Israeli Championships, 6 Israeli Cups. Establishment as an elite club with European all-stars like centre Tanom and Mintz. Fierce rivalry with hometown foes Hapoel Tel Aviv. Tal Brody came to Israel in 1966 from the United States, after having been drafted number 12 in the 1965 National Basketball Association draft. Originally just to take 1 year out of his life to play for Maccabi Tel Aviv, Ralph Klein, Israel's most successful coach at the time, said that up until the enthusiastic Brody's arrival, Israelis had only viewed basketball as a fun game. But within a year, with his serious attitude and his inspirational commitment, Brody had inculcated his teammates with his view of basketball as a way of life. At his urging, the team doubled the number of practices it held every week. To capitalize on Brody's quickness and speed, the coach abandoned the team's formerly slow pace in favor of a fast-paced motion game, built around fast breaks. Brody was the most dominant player in the EuroLeague in 1966-67. In 1967, he was named Israel's Sportsman of the Year. The team made it through the first, second, and third rounds of the league playoffs and reached the European Cup Championships, finishing second in the league. For the first time, the Israeli Prime Minister, the Israeli Defense Forces Chief of Staff, and Knesset members came to games. Demand for tickets to games in the team's 5,000-seat stadium was so high that they became exceedingly difficult to obtain. 1970s 1 European Championship, 10 Israeli Championships, 8 Israeli Cups. The rise to the top in Europe. The first European Championship in 1977 was soon followed by another final appearance in 1980. Tal Brody 1966-69 and 1970-80 was the captain of that Maccabi team. 1977 European Championship. We are on the map. The year 1977 was the apex of the Cold War, and the Soviet Union was boycotting Israel. In the first round of the European Cup Basketball Championship, Maccabi Tel Aviv defeated Madrid 94-85. In the second round, it beat Brno, Czechoslovakia, for the first time 91-76 on the 15th of February 1977. In the European Cup semi-finals, Maccabi Tel Aviv was matched against CSKA Moscow, the Red Army team. CSKA Moscow was a powerhouse. The Soviet Army team had won the prior 4 European Cup basketball titles, and had been undefeated during those 4 years. 6 of its players had played on the Soviet team that had defeated the United States in the Olympics, and the captain was Sergei Belov. And the Communists were well known for using sports to glorify what they billed as the supremacy over the West. The Soviet Union had broken off diplomatic relations with Israel a decade earlier and politically and militarily backed Israel's Arab enemies. For political reasons, therefore, CSKA Moscow refused to play in Tel Aviv, and the Soviets also refused to grant visas to the Israelis to allow them to come play in Moscow. In the end, Maccabi Tel Aviv's home game was played in the small, neutral town of Virton, Belgium. The game took place in an emotional atmosphere. It was of huge symbolic value for Maccabi Tel Aviv fans, and for many Israelis who ordinarily had no interest in basketball. The game pitted the capitalist West against the communist East, and Israel against the country that was supplying its enemies with weapons. The game also matched the country of Israel, with a total of a mere 4 million inhabitants, against the Soviets, with their 290 million people. The newspaper Maariv billed the 17th of February 1977 game as the fight between David and Goliath. Most of Israel's population watched the game, which was broadcast on Israel's only TV channel at the time. Maccabi Tel Aviv upset the heavily favored Soviets, 91-79. The feeling among Israelis was not only that CSKA Moscow had been defeated, but that a victory, albeit small, had been achieved against the mighty Soviet Union. The game has for decades been recognized as a key event in the forging of Israel's national identity. Even decades later, it was being replayed repeatedly on Israeli television. "We are on the map," proclaimed a euphoric Tal Brody in his heavily American-accented Hebrew, as a TV announcer pushed a microphone in front of him for a post-game quote, while people danced the hora around him in excitement and celebration. "And we're staying on the map, not only in sports, but in everything." The phrase, "we are on the map," a literal translation of an English phrase into his adopted language, but a novel saying in Hebrew, became a new, popular phrase in Israel. It reflected a physical victory by the nascent Jewish Zionist idea and national pride. It became Israel's most famous quote, and a staple of Israeli speech. Back home, hundreds of thousands of Israelis celebrated spontaneously in the streets, and 150,000 in Tel Aviv congregated in celebration in what is now Rabin Square. Many jumped into its fountain, splashing in water and champagne. Recalling the moment, an Israeli quoted in the book From Beirut to Jerusalem told Thomas Friedman that on one level it was Brody, the star basketball player, and his teammates beating the Russians, but on another level it was my grandfather beating them. It was our retroactive victory over the Cossacks. The European Cup finals were played in Belgrade, Yugoslavia, on the 7th of April 1977. Yugoslavia was a non-aligned country that supported Palestine and with which Israel did not have diplomatic relations, and the El Al plane that brought the Maccabi Tel Aviv players over to it for the game was the first Israeli plane ever allowed to land there. The Israelis were pitted against the highly favored Mobilgear Givarez, the champions of Italy. Mobilgear Givarez had beaten the Israelis twice that year, and had beaten them in the finals 10 years earlier when Brody first started playing for Maccabi Tel Aviv. Back in Israel, the entire country watched the game on television. Maccabi Tel Aviv went on to defeat Mobilgear Givarez by 1 point, 78-77, in the European Cup finals. Brody, as the team captain, received the European Cup from FIBA's Secretary-General and lifted it over his head. Jim Boatwright was the team's leading scorer with 26 PTS. It was Israel's first European Cup basketball championship in the 23-nation league. It was also the first time that Israel had won a championship of the caliber in any sport, and was, at the time, Israel's greatest achievement in international sports. The victory greatly lifted the spirit and morale of the country. In Israel, 200,000 people gathered to celebrate in Israel's national park, and the event was celebrated as a national holiday. When the team returned home, it found 150,000 Israelis waiting for it. 1980s 1 European Championship, 10 Israeli Championships, 8 Israeli Cups, a golden era of the Maccabi Ball Club. Throughout the 1970s and 80s, Maccabi dominated the Israeli League, winning all 20 league championships in a row, winning the European title in 1981 and reaching the finals for 4 more times in 1982, 1987, 1988, and 1989. Miki Berkovic 1971–75 and 1976–88, Martia Roesti 1974–88, Doran Jamchi 1985–96 and 1999–2000, Kevin McGee 1984–90, Lou Silva 1975–85, Ken Barlow 1987–90, Paul C. Perry 1976–85, and Lavon Mercer 1988–95 were the superstars of that Maccabi run. 1981 European Championship, beating Cynodine Bologna 80–79 in the final game in Strasbourg under head coach Rudy D'Amico. Proof that Maccabi was at the top for good. 1990s 9 Israeli Championships, 5 Israeli Cups. No European title in the decade, still considered one of the European powerhouses with European all-stars such as Jamchi Katash and Lavon Mercer. Reached the European title game in 2000, which marked the start of Maccabi's second golden era, the most successful to date. 2000's 3 European Championships, 8 Israeli Championships, 7 Israeli Cups, 2 League Cup. The second golden era of Maccabi, making it the second most successful European basketball club of the decade, winning 3 European Championships in 2001, 2004, and 2005 respectively, reaching the European title game on 2 more occasions in 2006 and 2008. Ariel McDonald 1999–2002, Anthony Parker 2000–02 and 2003–06, Nate Huffman 1999–2002, Sarunas Jashikevicius 2003–05, Massimo Baston 2003–06, Derek Sharp 1996–2011, Nikola Vujicic 2002–08, and Tal Burstein 2000–09 and 2010–12 have been recognized as European All-Stars for their accomplishments with Maccabi Tel Aviv. 2001 European Championship, the return to European glory. This was the only year in European professional club basketball history with 2 recognized European champions from 2 different organizations. Maccabi, recognized as the winner of the traditional FIBA Super League, and Kinder Bologna, recognized as the champion of the newly established EuroLeague basketball. 2004 and 2005, back-to-back European Championships. Maccabi fans did not have to wait too much for another big title, as it all clicked in the 2003-04 season. Sharp's miracle three-pointer to survive the top 16 that year has become one of the classic shots in European basketball history, unforgettable for any Maccabi fan. Once in the 2004 Final Four, Maccabi turned to record-breaking with an outstanding 118-point title game performance. Maccabi managed to win back-to-back EuroLeague titles in 2005, becoming the first team to do so since 1991. Jashikevicius, Parker, Tal Burstein, Massimo Baston and Vujicic, coached by Penny Gershon, became a classic lineup in European basketball history. This team of 2003-04 and 2004-05 is generally conceived as one of the best basketball teams in European history and certainly one of the most fun to watch ever in basketball history. After starting point guard Saris Jashikevicius left the team to fulfill his lifelong dream and play in the NBA, Maccabi went back to the EuroLeague final in the 2005-06 season, but CSKA Moscow stood in the way of a three-peat. Anthony Parker and Massimo Baston left after that year and returned home, signing multi-million-dollar contracts with NBA teams. Center Nikola Vujicic stayed with Maccabi for 2 more years, playing one more final in the 2007-08 season before leaving leaving the team and signing a multi-million-dollar deal with Olympiacos. Israeli legends Derek Sharp and Tal Burstein remained with Maccabi and continued to play for the team till 2011 and 2012, respectively. 2010s: 1 European Championship, 3 Israeli Championship, 4 Israeli Cup, 4 League Cup, 1 Adriatic Championship. For the 2010-11 season, management brought back head coach David Blatt, and adding new Premier players. Maccabi reeled off 9 consecutive wins to finish the regular season. Highlights included David Blue's game-winning triple against Khimki, Sophocles Short Sanitizer's dominance inside, and the defense of Steele's leaders Chuck Eidson and Doran Perkins. The momentum ended with a road loss at Regal FC Barcelona at the start of the top 16, but Maccabi surged again with 3 straight wins to reach the playoffs. Barca handed Maccabi another loss, this time in Tel Aviv, the only home defeat of the season, and ended Blatt's hopes for home court advantage in the next stage against Laboral. Maccabi prevailed in the series, as the injured Perkins' replacement in the starting line-up, Guy Pianini, set a game career high in scoring along the way and moved on to the Final Four. Pargo finished with the best performance index ranking, and the second most points per game, among all playoffs participants. He also ranked among the top 5 players in three-pointers made, assists, and steals. Backup forward Richard Hendricks was named MVP of the first round of the EuroLeague playoffs, and finished as the overall playoff leader in rebounds and blocks. Maccabi Tel Aviv beat Real Madrid in the semi-final 82-63, advancing to the final game. On 8 May 2011, Maccabi lost the final game 70-78 to Panathinaikos. In order to add income and quality games to its schedule, Maccabi announced that it would join the Adriatic League for the 2011-12 season for the second time since the 2002-03 season, when it reached the final game. This was supposed to bridge the gap between the highest basketball level Maccabi engages in, the EuroLeague, and the low-level Israeli League. The Adriatic League is generally regarded as the third highest European basketball competition, behind the EuroLeague and the Spanish ACB. On 3 August 2011, NBA point guard Jordan Farmer of the New Jersey Nets signed a 1-year contract with Maccabi Tel Aviv, in the wake of the 2011 NBA lockout. He played for the team during the lockout. Farmer said that he was very excited to be coming to Tel Aviv, because his stepfather is from the city. He spent time there as a child, and it is a beautiful beach city. Because Farmer is Jewish, he was eligible to obtain Israeli citizenship, an option he ultimately did not exercise. It was reported on 14 November 2011 that Maccabi also agreed terms with Israeli NBA forward Omri Caspi to join the team in several weeks. However, the end of the NBA lockout and the 25th of December 2011 start date for the 2011-12 season brought Caspi and Farmer back from Tel Aviv to join their NBA teams. Maccabi ended the season winning 4 titles: Israeli League Cup, Israeli State Cup, Israeli Super League, and the Adriatic League. 2014 European Championship. In the 2013-14 EuroLeague season, Maccabi finished first the regular season group. The team continued into finishing third in the top 16 group, leading to a best-of-5 series against Emporio Armani Milano, without the home court advantage. In the first game, Maccabi stunned the hosts from Milano, turning a 7-point trail with 30 seconds on clock into a 101-99 overtime victory. Maccabi then won 2 home games to lock the series on 3-1 to secure its place in the Final Four. In the semi-final, Maccabi came from behind to defeat the heavily favored CSKA Moscow with the last-second basket, after CSKA had been up by 15 points late in the game. Tyrese Rice scored the game-winning layup with 5.5 seconds to go. Coach David Blatt admitted after the semi-final that Maccabi had overshot every possible expectation during the season. When asked if the sky is the limit, Blatt said that, in this storm of a season, Maccabi long ago touched the sky and reached the moon. On May 18, 2014, Maccabi won its sixth EuroLeague, after it defeated Real Madrid 98-86 in overtime to win the EuroLeague championship. Tyrese Rice was named Final Four MVP. The game received worldwide media attention after, in response to Real Madrid's loss to Maccabi, over 18,000 anti-Semitic messages were posted on Twitter in an outpouring of hatred against Jews. Maccabi entered the final an underdog, with few expecting it to get into the Final Four, let alone to go all the way and win the championship. Following the success, Maccabi's coach David Blatt has been hired as the head coach of NBA team Cleveland Cavaliers. His assistant Guy Goods has been appointed as his replacement at Maccabi. 2014-15 season. Head coach David Blatt left Maccabi to coach the Cleveland Cavaliers. Assistant coach Guy Goods was promoted to head coach. In the 2014-15 season, Maccabi Tel Aviv was defeated 2-3 in the Super League semi-finals by Hapoel Eilat. It was the first time in 22 years that Maccabi would not play in the finals. 2015-16 season. Starting from this season, the team was named Maccabi Fox, referring to the new main sponsor. New players were signed, including some proven players like Taylor Rochester and Vitor Favorani. Jordan Farmer returned as well, with prospect Dragan Bender gaining more playing time as well. After a slow start in the EuroLeague and Israeli League, head coach Goods was sacked on November 9, 2015. On November 14, Zanterbach signed a deal to become the head coach of Maccabi. Maccabi was eventually eliminated from the EuroLeague after the regular season. The Israeli League season proved to be just as big a disaster, when Maccabi was eliminated in the semi-final for the second season in a row, this time by the eventual champions in Maccabi Rishon LeZion. Supporters. Maccabi Tel Aviv is widely recognized as the state club for representing the State of Israel and the Jewish people around Europe and around the world, attracting huge crowds of local Jews at every away game. In Yad Eliyahu Arena, Maccabi is followed by 4 organized groups. The first one is Maccabi Fanatics 96, founded in 1996. The second one is Gate 7. The third one is Yellow Army, and the last one is the major, Gate 11, that organizes chants and choreography at every important home game. Accomplishments per season. Players. Current roster depth chart. Maccabi's top scorers in EuroLeague. Honors. Total titles. Domestic Israeli League winners 1,954, 1,955, 1957-1959, 1962-1964, 1,967, 1,968, 1970-1992, 1994-2007, 2009, 2011, 2012, 2014. Runners-up 1,960, 1,961, 1966, 1969, 2008, 2010, 2013. Israeli Cup winners 1956, 1958, 1959, 1961, 1963 to 1966, 1970 to 1973, 1975, 1977 to 1983, 1985 to 1987, 1989 to 1991, 1994, 1998 to 2006, 2010 to 2016. Runners-up: 1962, 1969, 1996, 1997, 2008. European EuroLeague winners: 1976-77, 1980-81, 2001, 2003-04, 2004-05, 2013-14. Runners-up: 1979-80, 1981-82, 1986-87, 1987-88, 1988-89, 1999-00, 2005-06, 2007-08, 2010-11. FIBA Supporter Cup runners-up: 1966-67. ABA League winners: 2011-12. Runners-up: 2002-03. Worldwide FIBA Intercontinental Cup winners: 1980. Runners-up: 2014. Unofficial Triple Crown winners: 1976-77, 1980-81, 2001, 2003-04, 2004-05, 2013-14. Israeli League Cup winners: 2007, 2010 to 2013, 2015. Runners-up: 2009, 2014. Matches against NBA teams. Notable players. To appear in this section, a player must have either played at least one season for the club, set a club record, won an individual award while at the club, played at least one official international match for the national team at any time, to perform very successfully during period in the club or at later, previous stages of his career. Notable coaches.